All right, we are recording. All right, hello. This is episode one of the page. Just wanted to give a few things of advice, kind of say where we're at. Episode one is usually when most people don't watch, but it'll be fun to kind of go back and see. But for this video, what I wanted to kind of do was give an overview of what I'm doing, and then some things, tips out there for someone who might be going out and doing this process. And so, my wife and I are buying 26 acres this week. We're super excited to do it. We got it at a discounted rate because it was all clear cut acres, so the land is just horrible condition, to be honest. But what I wanted to do is start kind of cataloging this adventure and then talking through what advice I would have for someone else who's trying to go through this process. Just because our land is, like I said, it's not. If we were buying 26 acres at what the market's going for, there's absolutely no chance we'd be able to afford it. And this is the only way that we're able to. And because of that, we have to learn a lot and be able to work and sweat and kind of grow with the land. And that's all stuff that we're willing to do and that we're excited about. And so I wanted to try and catalog and consolidate this into one place, because I know I'm finding lots of videos out there where, like, this one is great at explaining this one's great at explaining that. And so if I even do a couple videos that's helpful for someone trying to figure out what, something similar on how they could go about figuring this out, then it's achieved its purpose. Because I have no background into any kind of land management, farming, or any of that sort. Starting from scratch. So, kicking things off, first thing I want to talk about is finding land. So, there's a couple ways that you can find land that I would recommend. First and foremost is Zillow. Get on there. You can mess around with some of the different filters on there. Put in your price range. Put in the if you want to have views and stuff. Although I found that's not so good. So let's take a quick look at what Zillow looks like, so you know how to use it. All right, so here we are in the Zillow platform. I won't get too into the weeds here, but there's some other videos that are probably better. But I'll give you a quick rundown of what I found to be most helpful. First, what you want to do is kind of find the area that you are looking at. So here, I'm just going to type in. Let's pretend that I live in Sparta, Tennessee. This is going to set your border around here. So maybe you live in Sparta, but you actually live in Midway. You can always pull this border off. But this is just going to show you everything in that bubble, right? And so home type, if you're looking for unimproved land, you just go lots and land. You can also check houses here too, and so this is usually, there's nothing built on here. That's a cool little piece right there. And then if you put houses on there, it's something that's already developed. So keep that in mind. For this case, we'll just do unimproved land. And then let's say price. And say you only want to spend up to $150,000. And then we're continuing to kind of narrow this down. And then what about I think under more, come here, figure out your lot size, and say I want to have at least 5 acres. That's what this minimum is at least 5 acres. And I know I'm not going to be able to afford anything over this, but we'll just put 50 acres, and then that way there's nothing out there. Um, Whatever in your price ranges, you start figuring it out. So here we can kind of see what's hot, what's going on here in Sparta, Tennessee. Already some great looking stuff here. I can look and see where it's at on the map. So if there's a certain part of town where I know maybe, like, I want to be closer to this lake over here or something like that. You get an idea of where it's at, what roads it's off of, stuff like that. And then also, importantly, what kind of price range you're seeing per acre. I wish that there was a way that would show, like, whatever your price per acre here off to the side, but you can kind of do some quick math and see that someone's already done a little bit of work here, where we see this nice little pickup between 69,000, 72, 82, kind of as you go up in price. So be able to figure out why acres are worth more. Here's a great example. There's 19, basically 19 and a half. There's 20 and a half. There's a huge discrepancy here of like 5,000. No, excuse me, $50,000. Um, and the reason why this could be is, where is this at? Next to a lake, maybe? Or maybe it's got some great geological features. Yeah, so stuff like that, that's you'll definitely want to check on and get a good idea. The most important thing that I would do with Zillow, and why I like it, is that if you're logged in, you create an account, it's free. You can save this search and these filters, and then anytime there's a new listing, you'll get an email update. So that way, if something comes up, you're interested, you can be one of the first persons that's knocking on the door saying, "Hey, I'd like to check this out." So let's pause there, and then we can move over to the other place I'd recommend. All right, this next website that you're going to want to be in your toolkit for looking up land is landwatch.com. So the reason why landwatch.com is pretty awesome is that it's a little bit more in depth of the information that you're going to want for your land, and it's focused more on unimproved lots versus Zillow. You'll still see a lot of stuff with houses, like that's predominantly where they are working towards, and Landwatch is the other way for unimproved land. And I'll show you why. And so here in our example again, we've got, let's start with a fresh slate. Let's go here, here, here. So I put in that, let's just do, this is what the homepage looks like. And so we'll put in Sparta, Tennessee again. Sparta, Tennessee. All right, so similar things here that's going on. We'll go ahead and set our filters. So come down here, we'll just use our same example, 150K. And then you can set your parcel size. Let's say I want between 11 to 50 acres. So here we go again. It's not as, maybe there is a map feature on here. Truthfully, I didn't use this website a whole bunch. However, there is a lot of value to it. And the reason why there's value is this gets a little bit more into the weeds. So let's pick this one right here. It's a cool looking photo. It's got my eye. We go into this one. We've got 3 pictures here. Some different agricultural uses, some different stuff that we can use it for. Boom, there's someone's number that we can call immediately and find out a little bit more about this land. We don't have to go through any of the Zillow wonky stuff or agents or anything like that. So that's already making it worth it in itself. And then sometimes you'll get lucky, and there'll be a deer, one. But then let's try another one here. This may be a good example. Maybe it won't. But sometimes they'll include topo maps in here. This one looks like it doesn't, but you can find like the survey that was done for the land. And that's important to know first that it has been surveyed and they're able to show what's what. Looks like it's not there either. But you can, if not, these agents will be able to send it to you. And you want to get those surveys, you want to get a better idea of like where stuff is going on, because if you're trying to plan legitimately what you're going to use this for, like even just looking at this land, if you want to use it for cattle, you can kind of see there's a hill back in here, and you want to be able to see, all right, how much of this, if I look at a topo map, is the hill, how much, that kind of thing, where you get a little bit more into the weeds with it. And so this would kind of be your next step up from Zillow. But landwatch.com is your another tool that you can kind of add to your toolkit as you're thinking about looking for land passively. All right, and then finally, last one I wanted to throw out there was just talk to people that are in your community if that's where you're looking to buy. The reason for that is that a lot of folks out there don't want to have to go through the process of setting this all up. Land usually stays out on the market for a really long period of time, and it's because of that. Like, you got to show it to people. There's lots of stuff involved, and so if you're able to talk about and tell people that you're interested in buying land, what may happen and what does happen pretty frequently is Meemaw might have some land that she's looking to get rid of, maybe a couple acres that she'll give you access to. You hear about it through church or something like that. Or, maybe, unfortunately for Meemaw, she passes away, but, son, daughter, something like that is looking to sell because they don't want to have to take care of the land. And so they'll get rid of it to someone that they know that's interested, and that's a way that you can get some great deals. I know a lot of folks that work in the forestry business. This is how you can kind of start making some really good money on the side, is those connections that you're building. Buy land, be able to know what you need to do to improve it, put access on it, stuff like that, turn it around, sell it for a profit. So put it out there that you're interested in looking at land, and then you'll be surprised because there's a lot of folks out there, especially as the world keeps getting older and older. I'm in home improvement as my professional side of my career, and we keep talking about how everyone's getting older and older, and so that means younger people are going to come in, want to renovate houses. Same thing with land. Old people are going to end up passing away soon, passing on land that next generation may or may not care for as much. It's hard to tell at this point. It kind of depends case by case, but if you put out there that you're interested, you never know what you might find. So those are 3 things that can really help you as you're looking at land. and ways that you can kind of be passively looking and actively looking at the same time. So next, I'll tell you what we're going to do is look at, like, once you find your piece of land, these are some things that you absolutely want to make sure that you do. All right, guys. So one of the things I wanted to do here was show you one our process of buying the parcel that we're looking at here. This is what my wife and I are buying, and some things that have come up as a part of the purchasing process that might be helpful for you to keep in mind and learn from my mistakes so you don't make the same mistakes. So this is a rough sketch from me. This is not a professional survey by any means, but what I am going to say is that this was extremely helpful that I did this, because if I hadn't have done this, I wouldn't have caught this one thing. So what this one thing was is that when we went out here and walked this land, you can't really tell from here. Let's see if we can make the land 3D. Um, so you can't really tell still, but the land, now this is all messed up. So the land has like this big slope here, and so being able to figure out how we're going to get up here to the top was a big deal. But thankfully, we've got road access here that we can build a driveway into. So as we were talking to the real estate agent, one of the things he told us was that if we wanted to build a driveway, what would make the most sense would be to kind of come up through here, loop our way up and around, and then up, right? Just kind of follow the timber road. All well and good, and we followed that for months and months and months. But however, one of the things I didn't do was follow my own advice and was to go look at the survey because this had already been surveyed. And what I figured out was that this was the corner somewhere down in here, and so this whole section of road didn't belong to me, but our neighbor. And so let me see if I can get that parcel up real quick. So this is the parcel with that the neighbor owns. It actually comes out to be about an acre. And so we didn't know this, and I found this out truthfully like 2.5 weeks ago, and we're supposed to close like, in several days. And this is a huge deal because there's a creek here and all this road. So basically, we were on track to buy this land and then think that this was ours, but it's not ours. And that's why it's so important to go find the stakes in the ground, get in the woods. Here was one, here's another one. I had to really kind of go back in there with my phone and mark it on my phone GPS and then build this out to see, okay, yeah, this is right, that this isn't there, which thankfully for us isn't a huge deal. There's some other ways that we can kind of make this work. But what you don't want to have happen is have something where you buy it and then you didn't figure this out beforehand in your SOL. Here's an example of this real life. So the guy to get the driveway permit, I called the county and met the guy out there, and so we're walking up and down the road and looking at it. And the new thing now is that they've got to be able to have line of sight distance to do it. And you may ask, what is that? So they have to have like 30 or 40 feet of clear distance. So then that way, if you don't pull out of your driveway, someone just doesn't T-bone you. And if you ever see those caution hidden drive signs, that's because those driveways were made before 2004. And then after 2004, you have to follow whatever the 30, 40 feet rule is nationally to get a driveway made. And so what he told me is that he knew a guy that bought 30 acres, closed, signed, sealed, delivered, and everything. And that guy hadn't looked at the driveway permit until after he bought it. And it had some weird turn or something like that where it didn't fit in the criteria. So this guy was going to have 30 acres and then no way for him to be able to get inside. And that's how it can be sometimes. I mean, like the city or the county may just come back and not permit in your favor. And that's a risk that it's on you. It's on you at the end of the day to be able to know these things, whether it's the road or the driveway permit, and you can't point fingers or blame anything. So I think the guy is going to appeal for it in the county, whatever system somehow, and see if they can favor. But if he can't, then he has 30 acres now that he doesn't have access into. And now he's got to try and sell it to some other poor schmuck, or just sit on it. And who knows what he'll do with it. There's different ways where maybe, like in this case, you could talk to the neighbor about using their access or something like that you can work around it. But if you're way back in here or something like that, and you got to go through all this stuff, you may not be able to get it. And so access is number one thing, and then following up and knowing what is actually going on. Because real estate agent, the people selling it, that's why it's due diligence for you. It's not due diligence for them, but it's due diligence for you. So learn from our mistake, make sure that things are covered up. I'm going to end up asking this neighbor, seeing if we can buy this acre from them because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them. There's another creek here. And so But they can say no. They don't have to say yes. There's a lot of things. And here's another example. It's my land. This guy over here has reached out and he wants to have this little sliver here back. So then that way, this hill, I mean, you're right up under it where he's going to build his house. And so he's like, for me, I want the breathing room to the trees. And I agree with them. I think there's a lot of sense for me to sell that, to him because there's not a whole lot I'm going to be doing down here too. There's a lot of slope that's going on. Um, you can kind of see it down there how it comes over. So we're moving quickly. Yeah, and ravines almost down in between. So there's not a whole lot that I'm planning on doing on there. So it makes sense for me to want to sell it. However, I can just say no, just because I feel like it. And that's the great thing about owning land is that you get to do whatever you want. And he can live with it, and I'll be, you know, right off his tail. Yeah, I'll be like right up here, right up next to him. Right over here, right up next to him. 100 feet away from his house, and he can't stop me. That's within my rights. So do your due diligence. Talk to the real estate agent. They should be able to help you. Don't be afraid to walk away. That's another thing that I would have done differently going around is I probably would have made a list of things and actually like written them out and said, if I hit any one of these things, not all of them, but even one of these, is for me to back out. And it could be interest rates, it could be access driveway. We got electrical quoted out for us to do all the way up here. It could have been like a number there and said like we can't go any higher than this, something like that. But give yourself hard and fast, black and white things that you're going to listen to and say, if this if I meet this, then I gotta walk away because someone like me, I could talk myself into buying this land all day. I'm my own worst enemy, but not everyone's like that. But if you're like me, write it down, do it. So, all right. So wrapping up today, a few things that we covered was first how you can look for land passively and actively to start your search, figure out what you are interested in, what you're not interested in. And then second, what we did is talk about once you found land, then the things that you really need to make sure that you're being mindful of because they can sneak up and bite you. They've bitten people before and don't think that you're immune. There's always going to be something that's not going to turn out the way that you thought it would be. And so being able to plan for contingencies, plan for the worst is something that would be beneficial for you as you go through this buying journey, especially if you don't have a whole lot of experience doing it, such as myself. So next, you can kind of stay tuned. Hopefully, it will be a video about putting in a driveway there where we looked at. I've got my buddy doing that. We're super excited. But then also, I'll try and take some video of what's going on out at the property, shots of me walking around, what our next steps are going to be, which is going to be getting to the top. So flagging, stuff like that, figuring out how to do that, to be honest with you, with the driveway that's washed out. So stay tuned for the next episode and looking forward to seeing you guys then.